back again. I do again have some notes before we start the next episode, just from some of the previous videos. First of all, I've gotten a few comments informing me that Ian Brennan seems to be the creative lead of this season of Monsters, whereas I keep kind of putting all the blame onto Ryan Murphy. Now, I do know that. I know that Ian Brennan is like the guy this season, and Ryan Murphy has taken a little bit of a step back, but this is still a Ryan Murphy production, and he is still a part of the production, even if he's not writing and directing every episode. He's the one, kind of funding it, and it's his name association that is the reason that the show even gets to exist on this platform. So he does still have ultimate responsibility for it, and also Ian Brennan is a person that Ryan Murphy has been working with for a very, very long time. They have always had kind of a partnership, with Ryan seeming to be the lead of that partnership. So even though it is an Ian Brennan directed show at this point, Ian Brennan is still kind of following the house style of a Ryan Murphy production. They are essentially the same at this point. An Ian Brennan directed episode is still a Ryan Murphy production show. Moreover, Ryan is just the more public figure of the pairing, so it's just kind of easier for me to refer to all of this as a Ryan Murphy show, just to have Ryan as a representation or a personification of the entire production company. So just to be clear, while I do use more personal addressments to Ryan, I am really just addressing the Ryan Murphy production team as a whole, which in this instance does heavily involve Ian Brennan. Something else I wanted to address is the show's portrayal of Anthony Perkins and the way that it deals with his closeted queerness. I saw some comments saying that they don't think that the show is vilifying queerness the way that I kind of said that it was, and I do just want to clarify within that as well that I'd say vilifying queerness in the moment kind of is a generalization of what's happening, but I don't think that it's necessarily as simple as they are specifically trying to portray it as being gay is bad. I don't think it's like that. I think really, here's the thing. I think that you kind of can read it as a more progressive commentary on what being a closeted gay man in the 50s working in Hollywood would have been like. You can read it that way, and I think that the showrunners do kind of want you to read it that way, but I don't necessarily think that intention is totally clear from the way that they're writing this show, and this is sort of a problem with Ryan Murphy productions in general. I think that a lot of the time they lack a clear perspective, they lack a thematic cohesion. What Ryan and his collaborators like Ian Brennan do is they just sort of grab at a whole bunch of different elements and motifs that they think are provocative or interesting or shocking or whatever, and they just kind of throw them really haphazardly into the story that they're writing in the hopes that the audience will just infer some kind of deeper meaning from all of it that will just let the writers off the hook for any more problematic criticisms that you could make. I don't think that the show is making very good commentary on anything, because I don't think that the show has a firmly established perspective on anything, including Anthony Perkins' experiences as a closeted gay man. Their interest in Anthony's sexuality is specifically rooted in their interest in portraying his sexuality as something that is socially deviant. They're focusing on his shame from his secret life and then portraying that as analogous to the secret life of a serial killer, which it just really isn't. And in that way, I don't think they're specifically trying to vilify queerness, but they inadvertently are, just from their own clumsiness as writers and their lack of interest in human beings, which I also think is a through line through Ryan Murphy productions. I don't think that Ryan Murphy and his collaborators are super interested in the stories of actual human beings. You see that the most with these true crime dramatizations because of the inaccuracies in them and the lack of thoughtfulness that they have toward their portrayal of victims and the communities affected by these crimes, but you can also see it in Ryan Murphy's fiction work too, like Glee or American Horror Story. Those shows always have super inconsistent character development because they don't really seem that interested in the characters. I did see some comments that Oz Perkins should sue for this portrayal of his father, and while I do think that those comments are funny and I agree with their sentiment, I would like to point out from like a practical perspective here, sue for what exactly? You can't really sue someone for defamation on behalf of another person, especially a dead person, which is just sort of a bigger problem with the true crime genre in general. As like a form of nonfiction, it is uniquely prone to misinformation, in part because it so frequently centers around the stories of people who are either incarcerated or dead. That means that most true crime creators aren't actually at risk of facing any sort of legal consequence for spreading false information. And that is why shows like this exist, essentially because no one can sue you for them. Now, something a little bit more positive that I wanted to say, because this is kind of the only positive thing that I have in my notes for the show, but I do want to try to be not totally negative all the time. When I was rewatching the clips from the show when I was editing my reaction, I did think that Charlie Hunnam's little dancing thing, when he had the dress on and he was sweeping up with the mask and everything, I mean, I hate that scene for its, lack of accuracy, but Charlie Hunnam's dancing I thought was pretty charming. He's kind of got some rhythm, and I saw or heard something about there maybe being a musical number in this season, which I am apprehensive about, but maybe Charlie Hunnam will, dazzle me with his musical prowess. I don't know. He has more rhythm than I thought that he would. So, looking forward to that, maybe. I mean, I'm looking forward. I'm interested in seeing it. I'm interested in seeing this musical number. I don't know that I'm going to like it when I watch it, but I think that I will at least be fascinated by it. Something a little bit more negative, though, toward Charlie Hunnam. It is the voice he's doing is getting more and more distracting for me, because it's not even just the voice, though the voice is in and of itself pretty distracting. He also kind of seems to be doing a little bit of a weird, vaguely European accent, which is really confusing, and it only comes out in a few moments, but it's really hard to ignore when it does, and it doesn't sound like a man from Wisconsin whatsoever. Now, another little fact-checking nitpick that I had, when I rewatched the scene where Ed is getting questioned by the sheriffs, it occurred to me that I think the sheriffs in that scene, or the sheriff and the deputy in that scene, I think that's supposed to be Sheriff Arthur Schley and Deputy Frank Warden. I could be wrong. Maybe I will be proven wrong later. I would love that. But if that's the case, if that's supposed to be Schley and Warden, that is totally inaccurate, and in ways that actually do matter for the story. So, first of all, Mary Hogan's murder that Ed is being questioned for happened in a different county with a different police department investigating it. It would not have been Sheriff Schley and Deputy Warden from Waushara County that were investigating the crime. It would have been Sheriff Harold Thompson or the man Velas Waterman who he deputized specifically to investigate that crime. And that matters because part of the reason that Ed's crimes, either confirmed or suspected, weren't investigated to the full extent that they could have been or should have been is because of the fact that they took place in so many different counties, and at the time, Wisconsin was under this law that had recently got put in place that affected how counties had to fund investigations that got sent to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. So the fact that Mary Hogan's murder happened in Portage County, it does just matter for why Ed was never charged with that crime, and also why Portage County kind of ducked out of the investigation into Ed's connection to the Mary Hogan case pretty early on. That also is an issue with the Evelyn Hartley case, which got completely ignored on the show, given that the show did not clarify whatsoever that Evelyn Hartley lived in La Crosse and not Plainfield. Alongside that, it also, even if Mary Hogan's murder had happened in Waushara County, it wouldn't have made sense for Sheriff Schley to be investigating it anyway, because Mary's death occurred in 1954. Schley wouldn't be appointed sheriff until 1957, literally just a few weeks before Bernice Warden's murder, when Ed was arrested. So that again is important for the fact that the sheriff who was actually tasked with investigating Ed's crimes had only been put into that position of authority a few weeks prior, and he also didn't have any prior experience in law enforcement when he was appointed sheriff. So portraying it like he was investigating Mary Hogan's murder from 3 years before Bernice's just implies that Schley had way more experience as a police officer than he actually did. And it's really disappointing to me, because while I've had issues with every single season of Monsters thus far, I do think that the Dahmer season, the first season, was the best of the 3 that they've done, specifically because of the commentary that that season had regarding how the Milwaukee Police Department kind of botched that investigation and ignored evidence of Dahmer's crimes for years. You can make pretty similar commentary while exploring the Ed Gein case, but I think maybe the issue here is that there's not really, like, a main villain in that sense. Like, you can portray some of the Milwaukee police officers with Dahmer as being specifically racist or homophobic, and that being why they didn't investigate those crimes. You can't really do that so much with the Ed Gein case. The problems with that story are a little bit more nuanced. It's not just like individual police officers being bad. It's more about a problem with how the legal system in Wisconsin was set up from the beginning. All in all, one of the biggest frustrations I'm having with the show so far is that it does get a fair amount of small details correct, which indicates that the people involved did do some amount of research, but then they just intentionally chose to ignore a lot of the findings of that research. And where that's the most apparent to me is where they keep trying to make these connections between the movies that have been inspired by Ed Gein and the actual story of Ed Gein. Because, like, especially with Psycho, if you looked into it at all, you would know that, like, the story of Psycho is not so specifically based off of Ed Gein. There's a very, very loose connection between the two stories, but they're portraying it as if it is literally, like, a dramatization of Ed's crimes, which it just isn't, and that's frustrating from a historical perspective because it's just so wrong, but also it really undermines whatever point the show is trying to pretend that it has. They keep trying to vilify these filmmakers for making movies that were kind of inspired by Ed Gein, as if they were really exploiting the Gein case, but the fact is that those stories in those movies are fictional. They were so loosely inspired by Ed Gein that I don't even think you could really say that they were fully exploiting that story. Certainly not to the degree that this show is doing. it feels like they're trying to let themselves off the hook for how exploitative that they're being by just pointing the finger at all these other filmmakers and saying that, well, they were exploiting the case too, but they were exploiting it to such a lesser degree than Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan and everyone else involved in this is doing. So it's just really stupid, and it hints at like an underlying nihilism that I think a lot of these writers have, where as long as they can point out some level of hypocrisy or something, then they don't actually need to have any moral standards themselves. That being said, I am kind of excited that we now seem to be more in like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre part of the show here. The last episode ended with a direct, like, recreation of a scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And while I don't think that the commentary the show will provide will be any more interesting or poignant, I do just personally prefer Texas Chainsaw Massacre to the other Ed Gein-inspired movies. So, literally, I'm happy that I get to look at that rather than looking at these recreations of Psycho over and over again. And nothing against Psycho. Again, personally, I prefer Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but also as, like, someone interested in Ed Gein, even though Texas Chainsaw Massacre is also not trying to directly portray the events of Ed Gein's life or his crimes, it is again extremely loosely based on his story. It is a little bit less loosely based than Psycho, and I also just think that the movie aesthetically is a little bit closer to what I think an Ed Gein dramatization should be. It's more like grungy and rough and kind of raw and gross in a way that Psycho and also Silence of the Lambs, frankly, is not. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Let's find out. I do have to already just clarify that this is not true, at least as far as we know. Again, this is Evelyn Hartley, someone who we do not know Ed ever killed, and also anything about what he did to the bodies before dismembering them, that is all just conjecture. So again, I will also remind us, while we're looking at this, that this is what the production team decided to portray of a missing 15-year-old girl who really did exist.
Sit down.
What are these for?
They're for you. You're the one who's been stealing my bra and panties, aren't you? There's something real dark about you, Eddie Gein.
Yeah, well, it takes one to know.
Well, you're right about that. So I'm gonna give you one last chance to be truthful. I saw that dead body, Eddie. Is that your mother's body?
No.
Where'd you get it?
Dug it up. She told me she just needed the bones. That's her. That's Mother. She's inside it. I don't know how to describe it. That body is Mother.
I understand. What was it like the first time you touched the flesh?
This is so gross. I know that I'm gonna sound like a broken record at this point, but I also feel like I should make this clarification just in case this is anyone's first time watching one of these reaction videos and you didn't see the previous episodes. None of this depiction of Adeline Watkins is accurate. She didn't know anything about Ed's crimes. She did not encourage them to any degree. She barely even dated Ed. Like, they went out a few times, but they weren't, like, an item. She certainly wasn't engaged to him like they're portraying here. This is so gross and weird.
I don't know why people get so persnickety about death. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Just like it says in the Bible. Nothing human disgusts me.
Okay, now we're undressing the missing 15-year-old who actually did exist. Oh, and of course, okay, Ed is now wearing her clothes.
And of course, you want to take these with
Yeah,
a meal.
Yeah. Just give them to me, Albert. Thank you.
Who the fuck is this supposed to be?
Are you all right?
Tell me this isn't Bernice Warden.
Yeah, I forgot you were there.
Just came in for more lime.
Oh, what on earth you need so much lime for?
Oh, had another heifer die.
Oh,
This was a young'un.
Heifer,
Yeah.
he's
Almost
already
terrified.
sold off all his livestock. What? There's no livestock on the farm anymore.
I only have a quarter. I'll put some back.
oh, Eddie, I can cover the difference. You're always such a bright light walking in here. You're the only person who's ever kind to me.
That's not true.
It is. It is. And
This better not be Bernice, because this is not true at all. She was like one of the most popular members of the community. Ed Gein was not the only person that was nice to her. Everybody loved her. And she was not this like soaking wet mess that this woman is portraying here. She was like an accomplished businesswoman. I can't believe this. Why are they doing this? Yeah, it says it's Warden's hardware store. This is Bernice Warden.
my nerves are fraying.
Oh, come on.
I'm coming apart at the seams.
Hey,
Coming apart at the seams
Have
from
you-
what? Bernice Warden had her shit together. Why are they doing this?
I don't remember the last time I've eaten with the pills the doctor's given me.
What pills?
But it's done wonders for my figure.
What are we?
It's,
What?
I haven't been this slim since I was a schoolgirl.
Well, I'll take you to the pharmacy. I got credit there. Let's get you some victuals.
You know what? I will, Eddie Gein. I will let you take me. Bernice Warden works too hard.
That's right.
So as I was saying, I'm proud of my son, sheriff's deputy and all that, but he never comes to visit.
He co-owned the store with her. Frank was a co-owner of the Warden's hardware store with his mother. What do you mean he never comes to visit? They were clearly very close. She was close with both of her children. That was something that everyone said, that they admired the amount that she was able to run her business and also still be so family-oriented. This is insane.
I had him. I was
Why?
barely a
Oh,
woman.
stop.
Suddenly I had this baby. You know, I was trapped.
Wait, what
You're
the
not
fuck
getting
did she
your
just say?
Oh, but I was 17 when I had him. I was barely a woman.
No,
But
she
suddenly I had
wasn't. She was a married adult woman. This is crazy. Like, just make up a new character.
This baby, you know, I was trapped.
You're not eating your
She was
beefsteak.
not trapped. She was, like, happily married.
It's just that you remind me of him.
Or your son?
No, Bert, the man I was madly in love with.
Who is Bert?
Oh,
He came into the store. My husband, Leon, had been dead about a year.
This
looking-
crazy, too, where it's like they're even referencing the name of her husband. Like, they know enough about her to know the name of her husband, but they don't care enough to portray her life accurately. And they're just still pulling more actual people into this bullshit. Like, you didn't need to mention the name of her husband. You just want more and more people who actually existed to have their entire stories overridden by your bullshit.
You know, I cannot be known as that Jezebel who runs the hardware store. So he did. He did. He left his wife and he moved in with me. He told her, Trudy, I'm in love with the woman from the hardware store.
and then what happened?
She drank bleach, Eddie. She killed herself.
So again, it's like they're taking elements of something that's kind of maybe true. There was something that Ed said in his own police interrogations about Bernice Warden and her being like a homewrecker, but not because of this other person named Bert. I guess Leon, her actual husband, had maybe, and this is according to Ed, so I don't even know if this is true, and I think were other people in the community that said that that's not even what happened, that he was wrong. But I guess that Leon had been dating another woman or something when he started dating Bernice, and then him and Bernice got married, and then that other woman killed herself. that is, according to Ed, why Bernice was a disreputable woman that he was okay to kill. But I don't even know if what Ed said was true. But even then, it's like they're not even portraying the way that Ed portrayed it either, because this is a fully different, like, man and couple that she's talking about breaking up.
Oh, Eddie, the scandal of it. He couldn't take the gossip, you know, all the tongue wagging, and everybody blamed me, of course, that loose
That's
nail.
not true. Like, again, the town really loved Bernice, and I think some of them were pretty offended by what Ed said about her anyway, and also offended that he fucking killed her. But this is not true. Plainfield loved Bernice. I can't.
Me, I think I might crack up.
Oh, she likes that he keeps looking at her
Marrying my
tits? This is
boss again?
insane.
Sorry.
Oh, no. No, don't apologize.
What kind of brassiere is that? You think I could wear it?
Seeing as you've been so kind to me, who am I to say no? You're just like him, pushing me to be naughty. Smell it. Has my perfume on it. What evening this is turned out to be, Eddie. I don't want it to end.
Well, it doesn't have to.
I'm a little out of practice.
I hope everyone involved in this show is arrested. And this whole thing about the roller skating rink, Ed did ask her to go to a roller skating rink, and she said no. And that was one of the reasons that Frank Warden thought that Ed killed Bernice immediately when he discovered that his mother was missing, was because he remembered Ed's been pestering my mom to go to a roller skating rink, and she's kept turning him down. It's like they're aware of some of the beats in this story, and they've just decided to completely fuck with all of it. For what reason? Is this a better narrative than the one that was actually real? It's almost like they just hate the victims and they just want to fuck with them. I can't even see any purpose for doing this other than pure fucking spite.
I know
I'm putting this on 1.5 speed so that I don't have to watch it for as long.
If you owe me good, Eddie Gein, I'll let you wear my panties.
Oh, that's a deal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here they come. And here they are. Come on, Eddie.
Okay.
Yeah. Whoa, 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 Eddie. Whoa.
Prison. And you know what? I just would like to say to all the people in my comment section who are like, it's not a documentary, why are you getting upset about it? If someone that you loved was murdered for no reason, just murdered just because she existed and was a woman that a killer decided to objectify and dismember immediately upon killing her. If that happened to you, someone that you knew, someone that you loved, and then years later, a very big Netflix show run by one of the biggest producers working in television decided to portray your loved one as a complete fucking mess who then had sex with the man that murdered her, which never happened in real life. Would you be okay with that? Because if you would, I kind of just think that you're a fucking weirdo, and I don't want to hear from you at all. I don't care that this isn't a documentary. This isn't okay.
They might be in love with somebody. Another girl. I don't think you know her.
What do you mean might be?
Well, I think I was, and then I don't know.
They're doing a love triangle arc now?
That hardware store lady, she's a town bicycle. Everybody's had a ride.
No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. This is just, you can never explore the impact that Ed Gein's crimes had on Plainfield, Wisconsin, if you don't understand the fact that Plainfield, Wisconsin loved Bernice Worden. Like, so much of their grief centered around that. And they just don't care.
I talked to Mother, and she told me something about your venereal disease.
What on earth are you talking about?
Quiet, please. This is hard enough. You're spreading a pestilence around town, and now I've got it.
I do not have venereal disease. That is a vicious rumor.
But I let you seduce me.
Jesus Christ, Eddie.
Don't talk like that. He's seeing me fornicating with a divorced woman, drinking wine. And
She's not
sinful
divorced, she's a
coconuts.
widow.
You
I really thought we had something. Thought I had a chance of another life with you, Ed. Oh, you reminded me of him. Same face, same rippling arms. Oh, makes me weak.
You ain't gonna.
So, I guess let's just go through the actual story of what happened. So it is true that he did kill her on the first day of hunting season, and he did use a gun that was on the gun rack in her store. And he did shoot her in the back of the head as well. It does seem like the way that he shot her in the show, I'm going to have to blur it, obviously, but it seems like it almost comes out of her eye or something. Like the front of her face is still fucked up. That did not happen. He shot her in the back of the head. It kind of went like up and out so that her face was still fully intact, which is actually pretty important because later, because the town loved Bernice so much, when they were doing the autopsy, after they finished the autopsy, the coroner or whatever, whoever does the, like, you know, makes up the bodies and stuff for funerals, I don't know what that's called, but they made her up so well after the autopsy that she actually was able to have an open casket funeral, which was kind of important to the town at the time because they didn't want to remember Bernice as just this victim of this horrible crime. They wanted to remember her the way that she was. So she had an open casket and she looked like a woman who just died of natural causes. So the fact that they've decided to override that with that gunshot out of her eye is, I mean, it's one of the lesser problems in this scene, but it is still kind of obnoxious. But then, yeah, he was never in a relationship with Bernice Worden whatsoever. He had been asking her to go roller skating with him. She was consistently declining. He then went into her store the day before he killed her. He asked if she had any antifreeze, what the price on antifreeze was. He then asked also her son, who was there with her because he was a co-owner of the store, Frank Worden. He asked Frank if he was going to be out of town or out of the store the next day for the first day of open season, if he was going to go into the woods to go hunting. There's some differing reports on how Frank answered him. He was either kind of evasive with his answer or he just said, yeah, I'm going to be in the woods tomorrow. But then the next day, Frank comes into his mother's store. He sees the crime scene. Then he sees a receipt for antifreeze and immediately says, I think Ed Gein took my mom. So that's what happened there. And part of the reason that Frank was suspicious of Ed is because of the fact that Ed had continuously been asking his mother out and she kept declining. So he thought that Ed might have had motive. So all of this is fucked up. I knew this was going to be bad, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad.
Thank God. See? I told you we weren't lost.
Interesting. So I don't know, because I was wondering, there are other people that Ed is suspected of killing. I was thinking that they were just going to maybe keep it to the women because they like showing women being brutalized, but this might be Ray Burgess and Victor Travis. And personally, I do think it is more likely that Ed killed these two than he killed Evelyn Hartley, for the record. We don't really know either way, but I do think that it's more likely that he killed them.
Sorry, Bobby. We were out deer hunting and we lost our bearings. I was wondering if you couldn't tell us the best way back into town. What?
So even if that was Ray and Victor, for the record, that's not how it would have happened. I mean, I guess I don't know because I don't know the timeline here, but I feel like this is implied that they walked in on him dismembering Bernice They disappeared years before Bernice did, so that could not have happened. But basically they were two guys who went hunting on the neighboring property of Lars Thompson, one of Ed's neighbors. They were hunting on his land, and then they disappeared. I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but there's some reason to believe that Ed did kill those men.
I did something real bad.
Show me. Did she struggle?
No. She didn't see it coming, so no.
What do we do now?
The way that they have the body hung up is more or less accurate to the crime scene photos. Obviously, Adeline Watkins was never there. And also, he was caught the night that he killed Bernice, like maybe 12 hours later. So he didn't have time to show different people this body and also maybe kill 2 other people in that time as well. And I don't even know, is the Hill family going to be involved in this story at all? Where are they?
Seemed like a normal guy, too. Everybody liked him. Even babysat a kid I knew even.
Bill, this isn't dinner conversation.
What did he do? Dug up dead bodies, cut them up, skinned them.
Bill?
Why'd he skin them?
Just making a suit.
Bill.
What'd he use?
For what?
To cut them up.
A 1940 Lombard chainsaw.
No, he didn't. He did not use a chainsaw. He actually, a lot of the times, to skin people, he probably used other tools, but a lot of the times in the fucking graveyard, he wouldn't use any. He would literally just rip them apart. He didn't have a whole, arsenal of equipment. A lot of it was literally just his hands.
You see the movie Psycho? That was based on Ed Gein, too, his life. I saw it in film school, and you know what? I was fucking bored. All that shit about his fucking mom, who cares? There's a whole shower scene and not one shot of her pussy, and here this guy Ed Gein was digging up bodies and fucking them. Ed Gein. Couldn't get over the picture.
He probably didn't have sex with many or any of the corpses. He did at one point, and I'm worried they're gonna show this, but he did admit to attempting intercourse with Bernice's dead body shortly after killing her. At this point, I guess I don't know how they could portray that because he's already sliced her open. But he did attempt intercourse with Bernice after he took the body home, but he couldn't get erect. So other than that, he has not admitted to any sort of sexual act with any of the corpses.
What do you think? Oh my God.
Toby, that's fucking scary.
He put on a dead woman's face. He put her scalp on his head like a wig. But, get this, he wasn't queer. He liked fucking girls. What does that make you, Leatherface?
Transvestite, cannibal, lesbian!
Well, I hope you're proud of yourself, Ian. You sick fuck. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about all that. I'm gonna hold off on any sort of commentary about the skin suit stuff, because I assume we're gonna get deeper into that with the Silence of the Lambs shit. But that was terrible. I'm gonna start the next episode, but I think I'm gonna go take a little bit of a break before doing that. Just because I need some time to process and reflect. So I'm gonna go vacuum my stairs. And then I'll be back for episode 5.